A trio of sleek interstellar shuttles glided through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls shimmering against the cerulean sky. On board, a group of alien students from various corners of the galaxy, each from a distinguished academy, bubbled with a mix of anxiety and excitement about their upcoming field trip. Their destination was a remote, lush expanse within the Amazon rainforest, selected for its extreme biodiversity, and as a prime example of why Earth had been labeled a Deathworld in the Galactic Encyclopedia of Planetary Classifications. The shuttles touched down softly on a natural clearing, encircled by towering green canopies and the distant calls of unseen wildlife. The doors hissed open, releasing a wave of humid, earthy air that immediately enveloped the group. Professor Valen, a slender figure with shimmering blue skin and an authoritative air, stepped out first, her sensory antennas twitching as they adjusted to the planet's rich palette of scents and sounds. "Remember, keep your sensors on at all times and stay within the marked zones," Professor Valen instructed, her voice echoing slightly through the translators attached to each student's suit. "Earth's beauty is matched by its dangers, and we are here to observe, learn, and most importantly, survive." Behind her, the students, each equipped with protective gear and scanning devices, stepped cautiously onto the foreign soil. Among them, Zara, an Arcturian known for her boundless curiosity, couldn't help but marvel at the vibrant flora, her eyes wide behind her visor. Milo, a sturdy Darnock with an innate sense for danger, scanned the perimeter, his hand resting on the portable shield device at his belt. As the group gathered around Professor Valen, she activated a holographic map, highlighting their exploration route through the dense forest. "Our first objective is to reach the research outpost approximately 3 kilometers north from here," she explained, pointing towards a faintly marked trail that disappeared into the thick undergrowth. "Along the way, we'll take samples and make observations. I expect detailed notes and adherence to safety protocols at all times. This is not just an educational trip. It is a test of your ability to adapt and respect alien ecosystems," she added, her gaze stern yet encouraging. The group set off, stepping into the embrace of the Amazon, unaware of the eyes that watched from the shadows and the challenges that lay ahead in their journey to uncover why Earth was feared and revered as a death world. Each step deeper into the jungle took them further from their known universe and closer into the heart of Earth's untamed wilderness. The group trudged along the barely visible path, their boots sinking slightly into the damp, leaf-covered ground. The canopy above filtered the sunlight into a kaleidoscope of greens and golds, casting dappled shadows on their path. The air was thick with the calls of distant animals and the persistent hum of insects. Zara, always curious, lingered a bit behind, her scanner sweeping over exotic plants whose colors seemed almost too vibrant to be natural. "Zara, stay close!" Milo called back, his voice firm yet tinged with concern. Despite his tough exterior, he felt a protective instinct towards his more reckless classmates. Zara nodded, quickening her pace but not before her scanner beeped sharply. She paused, kneeling to inspect a bright red flower. Its petals seemed to quiver slightly as she approached. "Interesting, isn't it?" Professor Valen approached, observing the flower over Zara's shoulder. "That's a Drosera magnifica, a large carnivorous plant. It attracts, captures, and digests insects using those sticky droplets on its leaves." As Zara recorded the data, a sudden rustling noise came from the thick bushes nearby. The group froze, turning their heads towards the sound. A large, scaly creature about the size of a small car burst out of the foliage. It had a snout full of sharp teeth and eyes that glinted with a mix of curiosity and caution. "It's a capybara," Milo said, recognizing the creature from the pre-mission briefings. The tension eased slightly, but the reminder that they were not atop the food chain was palpable. The capybara, seemingly indifferent to the aliens, waddled towards a nearby stream. The students watched it go, their hearts still pounding from the scare. Professor Valen used this moment to emphasize a lesson. "This is why awareness is crucial," she explained. "On Earth, danger often comes with little warning. Always be vigilant." The lesson was interrupted by a sudden shriek from behind. They spun around to see Zara stepping back hastily, her face pale behind her visor. At her feet, a snake, its scales a warning pattern of black and yellow, coiled and ready to strike. "Milo!" Professor Valen shouted. Without hesitation, Milo activated his portable shield, stepping between Zara and the snake. The shield hummed to life, emitting a low frequency that seemed to disorient the snake. It hesitated, then slithered away into the underbrush. "Are you all right, Zara?" Professor Valen asked, her tone a mix of concern and mild reproof. Zara nodded, still shaken. "Yes, Professor, I didn't see it until—" "That's precisely why we must always scan our surroundings," Valen said, turning to the rest of the class. "Earth's wildlife doesn't distinguish between native beings and alien visitors. Each creature has adapted to survive in its own way." The encounter sobered the group, and they proceeded with increased caution. The forest seemed to close in around them, alive and watching. Every sound made them more aware of their vulnerability on this lush but perilous Deathworld. As they moved towards their next objective, their scanners and shields remained at the ready, a constant reminder of the delicate balance between curiosity and survival. By midday, the group reached the research outpost, a sturdy structure built atop sturdy stilts to avoid the frequent floods common to the area. The outpost was equipped with basic amenities and served as a safe haven for researchers and explorers braving the Amazon's unpredictable environment. Professor Valen keyed in the access code, and the doors slid open with a soft whir. "Let's set up here for the night," Professor Valen announced as the students filed in, relieved to shed their heavy gear. The interior was sparse but functional, with workstations set up for data analysis and specimen examination. The relief, however, was short-lived. As they began to unpack their equipment, dark clouds gathered ominously above, and the distant rumble of thunder warned of an impending storm. The weather had changed with startling speed, a characteristic trait of Earth that had been noted in many galactic journals. Soon, rain hammered down, relentless and heavy, turning the ground around the outpost into a quagmire. Within hours, the gentle stream nearby swelled into a roaring torrent, and water levels began to rise dangerously close to the outpost's lower platform. "We need to secure the equipment and raise everything off the floor," Milo barked orders, as he and others scrambled to elevate their supplies. The storm outside howled, as if challenging the intruders in its midst. Zara and two others were tasked with checking the integrity of the outpost's external communications array. Battling the fierce winds and sheets of rain, they made their way to the equipment shed. The path was slippery, mud clinging to their boots, making each step a laborious effort. "Everything's soaked through," shouted one of her companions, a Galarian named Tix, as they reached the shed. The communications array was partially flooded, water having breached its protective casing. "We can't fix this in the storm!" Zara yelled back, her voice barely audible over the storm's fury. "We'll have to wait it out and try to rig something in the morning." Back inside, the group monitored the rising water levels anxiously. If the outpost was compromised, they would need to evacuate to higher ground. An arduous and dangerous trek in these conditions. Through the long night, they worked in shifts, watching the storm and maintaining the integrity of their temporary shelter. Professor Valen took the moment to impart another lesson. On Earth, nature itself is a teacher. Tonight it teaches us resilience and preparation. We must respect these lessons if we are to survive. As dawn broke, the rain finally began to abate, revealing a transformed landscape. The stream had expanded into a wide, rushing river, and much of the surrounding area was submerged. The outpost had held, but just barely. "Team, we need to assess the damage and establish a secure route to gather fresh supplies," Professor Valen declared as they gathered for a quick briefing. "Our mission here is far from over, and Earth is not done testing us." With the storm's lesson fresh in their minds, the students prepared for the day ahead, each task underscored by the reality that on Earth, adaptability was not just an academic concept but a vital necessity for survival. After assessing the damage and ensuring the structural integrity of the outpost, Professor Valen decided that the group should continue with their field research, focusing now on the geological and paleontological aspects of the Amazon. There's a cave system about 2 kilometers west from here, she explained. It's known for its ancient rock formations and potential for fossil discoveries. This will give us insight into Earth's historical biodiversity, which is crucial for understanding its classification as a death world. Equipped with waterproof gear and reinforced scanners, the group set off towards the cave. The environment post-storm was markedly different. The air was fresher, the foliage glistened with moisture, and the soil was spongy under their feet. Birds called loudly from the treetops, seemingly rejoicing at the storm's end. Reaching the cave entrance, Milo led the way, his scanner emitting a soft blue light that cut through the darkness. The cave was vast, the walls echoing with the drips of residual moisture. Stalactites hung from the ceiling like ancient chandeliers, each drop reflecting the light from their torches. "Look at these formations!" Zara exclaimed, touching a smooth, wet stalagmite that rose from the ground like a pillar. "They must have taken thousands of years to form." Professor Valen nodded, her scanner displaying data on the screen. "These caves are a testament to Earth's geological activity. Each layer tells a story of different eras, different climates." As they ventured deeper, they found what appeared to be a wall covered with primitive drawings. "These must be ancient human cave paintings," said Tix, examining the ochre and charcoal figures of animals and hunters. "It shows that humans were interacting with Earth's diverse creatures long before they had the means to understand them scientifically." The group documented the paintings, their excitement palpable. This discovery was a direct connection to Earth's past, to the humans who had lived and survived in these very forests. Their exploration continued until they stumbled upon a section of the cave that opened into a larger chamber. Here the air was cooler, and the ground was littered with bones. "These look like megafauna remains," Professor Valen observed, kneeling beside a particularly large rib bone. "Prehistoric creatures that roamed Earth during the Pleistocene epoch. Their size and adaptations were incredible, fitting for a world that demands survival of the fittest." As they were cataloging the bones, a sudden sound caused them to freeze. It was a low growl, not human, not any known animal from the forest. The echoes made it hard to pinpoint the direction. "Everyone, back to the entrance," Milo ordered calmly, his hand on his weapon. They retreated slowly, eyes scanning the shadows that danced along the walls cast by their torches. As they neared the cave entrance, they realized the sound was not following them, but was part of the cave's acoustic peculiarities. Relieved but cautious, they exited the cave, the daylight seeming blinding after the gloom. "This place holds more secrets than we can uncover in one visit," said Professor Valen, as they made their way back to the outpost. "But every piece we discover adds to our understanding of why Earth is indeed a death world." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Amazon floor, the alien students gathered around the outpost, processing the day's findings. The cave exploration had left them exhilarated yet drained, aware of Earth's deep and ancient mysteries. Under the guidance of Professor Valen, they set up monitoring equipment around the perimeter of the outpost to study nocturnal wildlife activity. The night in the Amazon was a chorus of sounds, from the high-pitched calls of nocturnal birds to the rustle of creatures in the underbrush. "Nighttime on Earth can be deceptive," Professor Valen explained as they calibrated the sensors. "What seems serene at a glance is often a facade for the intense struggle for survival that takes place in the darkness." As darkness enveloped their camp, the students sat around a small holographic projector, reviewing the data from their cave expedition. Suddenly, the calm of the night was shattered by a sharp cracking sound from the nearby trees. Instantly, the group was on high alert. Milo activated the external lights, casting bright beams into the surrounding forest. The lights caught the reflective eyes of a large animal lurking just beyond the tree line. It was a jaguar, its gaze fixed intently on the group. "Nobody move," whispered Milo, his voice steady. The jaguar, possibly curious or provoked by the lights, took a few steps closer. Zara, her curiosity overcoming her fear, slowly raised her scanner. "Recording data," she murmured. "If we survive, this could be valuable for understanding predator behavior." Professor Valen nodded. understanding the importance of the moment but ready to act if the situation escalated. Milo, prepare the non-lethal deterrents. We don't wish to harm the creature, only to encourage it to move along. Milo nodded, retrieving a device from his pack. With a press of a button, a high-frequency sound wave, inaudible to human ears but irritating to most wildlife, emitted from the device. The jaguar, clearly discomforted, grimaced and finally turned, disappearing back into the darkness. The group exhaled in relief, the tension slowly dissipating. That was a jaguar, one of Earth's top predators. They are solitary hunters, highly adept and extremely dangerous, Professor Valen explained, ensuring the students understood the gravity of their encounter. Let's keep the perimeter lights on tonight, suggested Milo, and there were murmurs of agreement. As they settled back down, Tix voiced the lingering unease. How do Earthlings manage to live with such constant threats? It's about respect and balance, Professor Valen replied. Humans have adapted over millennia, learning to respect these creatures and the environment they share. Survival here demands a deep understanding of and respect for nature's rules. The next morning, after a restless night, the group decided to shift their focus from passive observation to active engagement. Professor Valen proposed an excursion to observe Earth's apex predators in action, specifically a pack of wolves known to roam the area. Understanding predator dynamics will give us deeper insights into the ecological balance of a Deathworld, she explained. Equipped with enhanced safety gear and observation drones, the students trekked to a vantage point near a clearing where recent wolf activity had been detected. The air was crisp, the remnants of last night's tension dissipating with the morning fog. As they settled into their hidden observation posts, Milo distributed the imaging equipment. Remember, no sudden movements. These wolves are not only effective hunters, they are extremely sensitive to changes in their environment. For hours, the group watched and waited. The forest around them was alive with subtle sounds and movements. Finally, a slight rustle in the underbrush signaled the arrival of their subjects. One by one, gray wolves emerged from the forest, their movements graceful yet cautious. Zara, who had set up a high-definition camera, whispered excitedly, "There they are. Look at their coordination." The wolves seemed to communicate through body language, their ears twitching and tails held at strategic angles. Suddenly, the pack split into two groups, encircling an area of the clearing. The tension was palpable as the trap they were setting became apparent. Without warning, a large deer entered the clearing, grazing idly on the foliage. It was oblivious to the impending danger until the alpha wolf gave a subtle signal, and the wolves converged in a well-coordinated attack. The scene was over in moments, the culmination of strategy and teamwork leading to a swift kill. The students recorded everything, mesmerized by the raw display of natural law. "Such efficiency," Tix noted, his voice a mix of admiration and shock. "Every move is calculated." "Yes, this is the reality of survival on Earth," Professor Valen added. "Predators play a critical role in maintaining the health of their ecosystem by controlling prey populations and removing the weak and sick." As the wolves began to feed, the group quietly packed up their equipment, leaving the scene undisturbed. Back at the outpost, they reviewed the footage, analyzing the tactics and strategies of the wolf pack. "This is why Earth is a death world," Milo mused as they watched the playback. "Not just because of the danger, but because of the inherent need for every creature to be intricately adapted to its role in the ecosystem." The lesson was clear. Life on Earth was not about dominance, but about balance and adaptation. As they prepared for their next activity, the students felt a newfound respect for Earth's inhabitants, recognizing the intricate dance of life and death that played out daily in this lush, unforgiving world. Eager to gain more insights into the survival strategies developed by Earth's human inhabitants, Professor Valen arranged for the group to meet with an indigenous tribe known for their deep connection to and understanding of the Amazon rainforest. The tribe, guardians of their ancestral land, had agreed to share their knowledge about living in harmony with one of the planet's most complex ecosystems. As the students approached the tribal village, They were struck by the seamless integration of the community with the surrounding environment. The homes were constructed from natural materials, blending into the landscape, and the air was filled with the scents of smoke and cooking herbs. The tribe's leader, a wise elder named Marikai, greeted them warmly. "You come seeking knowledge that our ancestors have passed down through generations," he said, his voice rich with the tones of the forest. "We live with the land, not against it." Marikai led them through the village, showing them various plants and explaining their uses, both medicinal and nutritional. "This is curare," he pointed out, showing them a vine. "It can be used to make poison for hunting, but it also has medicinal properties to treat pain and muscle spasms." The students were fascinated as they followed Marikai to a nearby riverbank, where he demonstrated traditional fishing techniques using handmade spears. "Balance is key," Marikai explained. "We take only what we need and ensure the river can sustain its life for future generations." As the day faded into evening, the tribe invited the students to participate in a ritual designed to deepen their connection to the natural world. The ceremony involved music, dance, and the sharing of stories about the forest spirits and the lessons they teach about living responsibly within the ecosystem. Sitting around a fire, the students listened intently as Marikai spoke of the balance of life and death in the rainforest. "The forest teaches us that every life has a purpose, and every death feeds back into the cycle of life. Respect for this cycle is vital for our survival." Moved by the day's experiences, Zara spoke for the group. "Your respect for the environment and the way you utilize its resources without taking more than you need is something we can all learn from. On many worlds, such balance is lost, and the consequences are dire." Marikai nodded, the firelight reflecting in his eyes. "The earth provides, but it also demands respect. It is a powerful teacher, and its lessons are sometimes harsh but always valuable." The following morning, the group awoke to the sound of relentless rain pelting the roof of the outpost. Overnight, the heavens had opened up, unleashing a torrential downpour that seemed to shake the very foundations of the forest. Professor Valen quickly convened a meeting, her expression grave as she addressed the group. "We are experiencing one of Earth's most powerful and destructive natural phenomena, a tropical rainstorm. It's imperative that we evacuate to higher ground immediately," she instructed, her voice cutting through the noise of the rain. The students scrambled to pack essential equipment and supplies, their movements hurried but methodical, thanks to the training they had undergone. Milo took charge of ensuring everyone had their emergency kits, while Zara coordinated the dismantling of sensitive instruments to prevent damage. As they stepped outside, they were met with a landscape transformed. The river, usually a gentle stream, had swollen into a raging torrent, its waters muddy and debris-filled. Trees bent under the force of the wind, and the rain obscured their vision, making the trek to higher ground perilous. "Stay together and watch your footing," Milo shouted over the roar of the wind and water. The group formed a tight line, linking arms to prevent anyone from being swept away by the rushing water or falling due to the slippery mud. The journey was arduous. The normally vibrant forest was now a daunting maze of water and chaos. Fallen branches and uprooted trees obstructed their path, forcing them to take detours that prolonged their exposure to the elements. After what seemed like hours, they reached a hilltop that offered some respite from the flooding. Exhausted, they set up a temporary camp, using waterproof tarps to create shelters from the relentless rain. Professor Valen took a head count, ensuring everyone was accounted for and assessing the group's condition. "This is Earth testing us, showing us its raw power and reminding us of our place within its ecosystem," Professor Valen said as they huddled under the makeshift shelter, their bodies shivering from the cold and wet. "But it also teaches us about resilience and the importance of preparation and community in the face of adversity." As night fell, the rain began to lessen, and the sounds of the storm gave way to a quieter, yet still intense symphony of dripping leaves and rushing water. The group shared their rations, their spirits buoyed by the shared challenge they had overcome. "This is why Earth is called a Deathworld," Zara reflected, looking around at her tired but resilient companions. Not just because of its dangers, but because living here teaches you about strength, about the power of community. The experience bonded them further, each student gaining not only respect for the planet's formidable nature, but also for each other. They knew that the stories of their time on Earth would be told for generations back home, serving as lessons in the endurance and adaptability required to live on a death world. As they settled in for the night, the rain eased into a gentle patter, a soothing end to a day of lessons learned the hard way. The next morning dawned clear and bright, the storm having passed as quickly as it had arrived. The group emerged from their makeshift shelters, stretching sore muscles and surveying the transformed landscape around them. Pools of water glistened under the sunlight, and the air was filled with the fresh, earthy scent that follows a heavy rain. Professor Valen called the group together for a debriefing. They gathered around, sipping warm drinks prepared over a portable heater, the comfort of the warmth a stark contrast to the previous day's ordeal. "Last night was a testament to Earth's unpredictability and its capacity for sudden change," Professor Valen began, her voice firm but encouraging. "It was also a demonstration of your ability to adapt and work together under extreme conditions. These experiences, while challenging, are invaluable lessons in survival on a death world." The students nodded, their expressions a mix of pride and newfound respect for the planet they were studying. Zara, who had been particularly vocal about her experiences, shared her thoughts. "I've realized that Earth isn't just trying to challenge us with its dangers," she said thoughtfully. "It's teaching us about resilience. Every creature here, from the smallest insect to the largest predator, has adapted to survive in ways that are both fierce and beautiful," Milo added. "And it's not just about surviving physically, it's about mental resilience too. Keeping calm under pressure, making quick decisions in emergencies, that's what keeps you alive here." The group spent the day recuperating and reflecting on their experiences. They discussed what they had learned from the indigenous tribe, the creatures they had encountered, and the sheer force of nature they had witnessed. Each story shared added layers to their understanding of Earth as a complex, dynamic ecosystem, where life thrived under conditions that would be deemed extreme on other planets. As the day drew to a close, Professor Valen suggested they record their reflections in the outpost's log. "One day, other explorers will come here, and your insights will guide them. Your experiences could well become part of the academic curriculum for future intergalactic explorers." That night, as they prepared for their last sleep on Earth, the atmosphere was contemplative but also celebratory. They had faced Earth's challenges head-on and had come out stronger for it. The bonds they had formed here under the most extreme conditions would last a lifetime. In their final evening together on the Death World, they realized that their adventure had provided them with more than just academic knowledge. It had given them a profound appreciation for the resilience of life in all its forms, an understanding that they would carry with them back to their own worlds.